Hey there, welcome back to my channel. Let's continue with our tutorial where we left in the previous episode. So let's move forward to the update product where we are going to add some test case here once again the similar way. So let's grab this whole post product to here and add it here. And in this case, this is going to be like pets. Now let's try to cover the happy part. Pets will be definitely we should have to provide a kind of ID also. This is going to be ID, and this is should update product successfully, right? First of all, let's take care of this first case, right, where product should update product successfully. So let's try to make these changes the line by line. So here in this catalog service, this is not going to be create product. This is going to be update product, right? And this resolve exactly, it has to be this product, which is we have created in line number 64, right? And this is going to be post products, then the ID will be there. In this case, what we are going to do, we are going to provide some kind of ID, right? That ID we need to provide from here. So let's try to make it a kind of string literal, right? To here, we're going to put our ID. That's called product.id. This product exactly we are going to use, right? And request body, we need to construct our request body because some of the things only we are going to update. So in this case, as an example, name will be product name dot name, and maybe price will be product price, and stock will be product stock. Let's say stock. This is the thing we are going to do here, the request body. Then once we are sending the request body, it has to return kind of successful response that is going to be like 200. And body request body product has to be equal something like this. Anyway, we are mocking this stuff here, then the response has to be equal, right? So let's try to spin this whole test. So I'm gonna comment it out the rest of all the test cases. And in this case, we are not going to run the product test, right? So let's try to keep only this here. Only. So only this group of test cases only we are going to run, right? And now let's go to catalog routes. Anyway, this test case is going to be fail because we don't have the proper route, right? So let's try to add a route here. So I'm gonna add this post to here, and instead of this one, it has to be pets, and this product will be having the ID. And here inside the request validator, I'm gonna close this window here. Inside the request validator, we need to have the input also, but in this case only create product request, we are not going to add everything, right? So only the some of the things are needed, but not the complete create product request. So let's go to DTO, let's add something here, right? Here we need to create one more DTO, just similar just like create product request, right? So let's try to add that one. Export class update product request, right? But in this case, what we are gonna do, like we are not going to add like all these decorators here because some of the property maybe it's optional, right? So let's try to grab all these things from here and add it here as well as. So this is not going to be is string, right? It may be optional. This is also maybe optional. Price may be optional, but still we can just keep it optional. This is we can just put it something like this, and this is also we can keep it as a kind of optional. Right. So now let's go ahead here in the catalog routes, and here in the patch route, instead of this create product request, just use the update product request. Right. But you can see like this endpoint exactly, it's passing kind of parameter also here, right? That specific parameter. Path parameter we need to capture, right? So let's try to grab that parameter. Const ID will be parse int, because potentially this is going to be kind of number, request dot params dot id, or 0. All right, or we can put 0, or maybe some similar, just like this, or 0. Okay, if it can be parse the value, then it's fine. Otherwise it will return 0 here, right? Then we can check whether ID is available or not, but again we need to write a test case. So in that case, we are not focusing on that one, right? So only we are focusing on like whether we are able to fulfill this happy path or not. So let's try to achieve that one first, right? So here, this is not going to be create product. This is going to be update product, right? And this is going to be input, but something like this, ID, and along with all the inputs, right? All the inputs. Cool. So now this is absolutely, it has to be 200, not 201. And if you go to the this test case, right, the catalog route.test, and here you can see this is exactly it's paths call, paths, and this is fine. Yeah, everything seems fine right here. And here we are passing name, price, and stock. That's perfect. Now let's try to spin this specific test case, all right? So we are going to remove this only. It's not required. This is maybe only. Yeah, on test. Perfect. So our test case is getting passed here. All right, that's really cool. So now what we are going to do, we're going to add a couple of more scenarios, just like we have added for our create products, right? The similar way, let's try to uncomment this on this test case, and let's try to remove this one. So right now, it has to throw the validation error 400, right? But you can see in the DTO file, we are keeping like all these things optional, right? So even if you are not providing anything also, then still it's supposed to work. But only thing like this price parameter, exactly, we should supposed to send only value 1, at least minimum 1. So that is the thing we can test it out right here. So let's try to test that one, right? So in this case, let's say request body price. Price will be, let's say, we are passing -1 here, right? And yeah, this is going to be pets. And maybe we can just grab this one from here, right? This request body is perfectly fine. So maybe we can just grab this request body along with this one. Okay, then this product ID will be something like this. We need to put it just like within string literal. Let's grab it here and add it here. So now we have our product, right? And that product we are just to try to update. This is our request body, and price we are just assigning it something like, okay, this is not required from here. I think we can pass it here also. This is going to be like -1, -1. So technically it should have to throw some kind of error. All right. So we are not bothered at all this error message. Let's try to check it out only. All right. Now let's try to run this test. Perfect. So this test is getting failed. So why it is getting failed? It says the message is exactly doesn't match with the expected one, right? It should have to be price must not be less than 1. That is what we did here, right? We have passed a -1. That's why it is saying like that. So let's try to add this identical message here, and right now it should have to be passed, right? Cool. So it is getting passed right now. Okay. So let's try to remove this only from here. Then one more test scenario we can add it here. So while we are updating the product, it should have to throw some kind of internal error also. If somehow in the DB level or something is going wrong, then the similar way we did for here in our create product, we can just like use this similar kind of test also. Right. So here, let's go ahead, and this is not going to be like create product. This is going to be update product, which is we are going to mock it here, right? Spy on this. And yeah, error occurred on update product. update product. Let's try to use the similar kind of error message from here and edit here as well as. Right. So technically this message has to be identical, something like this. If you go to services right here, while updating the product, the similar kind of message, just like if data doesn't exist, something like this, you can add something like this, right? If update product is not returning correctly from the repository, then it's supposed to be send some kind of real life scenario, just like unable to update product. And this message exactly, you can use something like this here also. This is the same one, right? And this is the same one. And even for our create product also, we can do the same. Like if you go to here, service and create product, this error exactly throwing from here. And if you go here in the create product, there's a kind of scenario where we are, this one. So it should respond with internal error. So this is, we can replace with this. So then our test cases scenario from here. So from the real functionality from the service exactly, it will be identical, right? So cool. Now I think we are pretty much good at this point. It's been covered here. But one thing we need to change here, this is not going to be post, this is going to be paths, and this is the similar way we need to pass, right? Because it's need some kind of like the path parameter as well as. So again, this product, we need to just get it from here, add it right here. And yeah, this is, it has to be 500 and all good. Perfect. So let's try to mark it as kind of only. We are only going to run this test. Cool. Now it is getting passed, right? So I think our update product scenario also, it's getting covered, right? So let's try to remove this one here. Now what we are going to do, we are going to add one more test cases for another endpoint that is going to be like, this is paths, right? This is cool. But we need to get the products also. If you go to service, then you can see create product is covered, update product is covered, get products and get product. So these are the two endpoints we need to cover, right? So let's try to do that. Here, I'm going to copy all these things from here. And right now, just try to add it here. And this is going to be get call. And this is going to be products. And what we can do here in this products, maybe something like this, which is going to be like limit will be certain number and offset will be certain number, right? So this is how the endpoint will be look like, right? So it's up to you, but still while we are running the test cases, you can see this is the test case for post, this is the test case for products, right? So somehow we just try to maintain kind of convention, so at least you can make sure while your test cases are running, then yeah, these endpoints are identical exactly, it's going to be matched, right? So your colleague or whoever working on this project, then they will not feel confusion on that specific test case. So all the endpoints, this is exactly identical with the routes also, you can see it's identical, right? The similar way we need to add for our get products also, right? So let's try to make it something like this way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just like comment it out rest of all the test cases here. And only we are focusing on this one, get product. Then what will be the description here? It should return a range of products based on limit and offset. Right here, the similar way we need to just create some kind of like the test cases, just like we did for our service, right? So here maybe you can see like we are creating the random and all, so we can grab these things from here, copy all these things, because the similar thing, not the service one, the random limits and products are needed. And go to catalog route test here, and instead of this one, because we are not going to use the request, right? Then add this one here. So we have random limit and we have the products as well as. So in this case, we are going to spy on the get products, not the update products. Get get products, right? And we are going to resolve this whole promise as a kind of products. That is, we have created right here in line number 117. And let's try to copy these products and edit here, right? Now in the response, this is not going to be a path anymore. This is going to be get call, and these products we'll be passing some kind of like this, right? Question mark. Then limit will be you can say random limit with the help of string literal random limit, and offset we are just keeping as a 0 because we need just like data from the 0, right? Then this offset exactly you can maintain apart from your pagination from the front end, but in our case we just need to test it out the whole scenario. That's why we are just keeping out the 0 index, so at least we can always get the data from the 0 index or maybe from the beginning. Okay, so this is not required because we're calling these things as a kind of get call, right? And rest of all is fine. Then this the body exactly, it has to be equal just like products, right? So it is going to be plural. Cool. Now I think this is, we need to run it first, right? So let's mark it as a kind of describe only. So all these test cases, we are going to run it from there. And now let's try to spin it out, right? And the first thing, it will going to be fail because we don't have any implementation so far, right? So yeah, this is the real utilization of the test-driven development, right? So let's go ahead and add some functionality. At least our test case is going to be a success right there. So here in the catalog routes, let's try to add one more endpoint, similar just like, you know, just like this, but this is not going to be paths anymore. This is going to be get call. This is going to be get call, right? Then products, and similar just like it will going to be identical just like we have added here, right? Something like this. But I don't think like we need to add this parameter right here, so let's leave it like this way. And here we need to capture our limit and all the stuff, right? So let's try to add before the try catch. Console limit will be number, will be request.query, and here, because the query is a kind of dictionary, if you can see, like it's a kind of parameter dictionary, right? So where whatever the parameters you are going to send it right there, it is going to be stored right here inside the query. So you can read the parameters just like limit, adding the limit here, and offset will be number will be request.query offset. Cool. So now we have a limit and offset, right? So definitely this request validator is not required in this case, right? And this is also not required. We are not going to check it out, this one. And definitely you can add some kind of the test cases for like validating the limit and offset also. If you are not providing any kind of limit, then maybe you can assign the kind of default number just like in the 10 as an example, right? So 10 or 20 data, you can just return it from there. But it's up to you how you can make this logic for getting the products, right? So in my case, I'm not going to put anything from there, right? And I'm completely relying on this limit query parameter. Now let's try to get this data from here, right? So how we can get it? Catalog this get products, and where we will be provide limit and offset, right? And you can see like it is returning 200 from here, right? Let's try to do that here. Now let's go ahead and run this the test cases. Yeah, seems like it is getting passed. Perfect. So now we can cover a couple of more scenarios, just like we can catch the error also. I'm going to leave it up to you as a kind of homework. So you can go ahead and add some test cases right there and cover as much as like whatever the possible scenarios, you can cover it right there, right? So then let's move forward to the next one, where I'm gonna copy this one. Let's remove this one. Copy whole the test cases from here and add it here. And this is going to be get product and by ID, right? Let's remove this part here. And here we should return a range of product. It's not range of product. Return single product by ID. Return a product by ID. Right. This is the exact description. And what we can do here, we are going to use the similar kind of convention here, not the random limit. And this is going to be product. And let's try to build only one single product here. Build. And instead of this resolve the products, and because this line, like 132 number line here, we should not supposed to use the get products. We need to use the get product only. Yeah. Right. So here we need to pass this product. And in this case, we need to pass the ID also, right? Because this product has been created here. So let's try to pass it here. /product.id. And it has to be equal to product also. Right, cool. So now our test case is ready. So let's try to mark it as only, and let's try to run this one. So it has to fail because we don't have any implementation the similar way. So let's go ahead and add some kind of implementation here. So let's try to grab this one from here and add it here once again. And this is going to be like products is fine, but here we need to pass a kind of parameter just like ID. The way we have grabbed right here for pets product, right? So let's try to grab this one from here and add it here as well as, right? This is not going to be offset or limit. We need only ID here. And this one, this is going to be something like get product, where we need to pass the ID. Okay, now we are getting the product ID from here. So let's try to run this test case. So it has to be passed this time. Cool. So it is getting passed. Right. So now again, I'm leaving up to you, like, you know, all these things. I'm not going to repeat all over, like covering these scenarios like 400 and validation error or internal error. You can go ahead and add it accordingly. So now let's move forward to the delete product as well as. Let's copy these things because it's going to be similar, just like get product by ID. This is going to be like delete product ID should delete a product by ID. And here also this has to be like something delete product. And now resolve it. This is perfectly fine. We are only going to be return like ID. ID will be product ID, right? And the body also has to be equal, just like ID will be product ID, product.id. Right. So now this is not going to be get, this is going to be delete. Perfect. So now let's try to run it. And again, as per the TDD rule, this is going to be fail, but we need to add the implementation, right? It's getting failed. That's perfect. And now let's go ahead and add some code here. Let's grab this piece of code from here to get and add it here. And instead of this one, going to be delete, right? And this time, this is going to be delete product. Delete. Yeah, delete product. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and try to run this one here. Right. So let's try to remove this only from get product. So yeah, only this is only this delete product has to be executed, right? So let's try to run it. Perfect. So it is getting passed. Now let's try to remove this only from here. So we are going to run all the test cases, right? So at least we can have a kind of proper understanding of whole API class at this moment. All right. So in general, now you can see in this test class, everything has been covered correctly. And if you see the test coverage, right, it's pretty much covered everything, but couple of lines in the several files it's not getting covered. So those are the things we can cover correctly, but not in this episode. I'm gonna record one episode specially for the covering the stuff, because this is extremely necessary. You can set a kind of benchmark for your test cases. As an example, maybe 80% minimum test coverage has to be fulfilled. In my case, I'm always following 100% benchmark for my test cases, right? So there is certain technique, there is a kind of specific technique I'm using. So I'm going to show you a kind of in another episode how we can do that, how we can achieve that. All right, perfect. So now what we can do, now you can see our routes are working, right? All these things are there, and couple of test cases maybe you can add, like by scenario, as I said, the validation error or internal errors, etc. But so far it's all good. Let's try to close this one, and we need to run this project, right? So somehow we need to reach out to a whole pipeline. At least it should have to be response something, right, to us. So now if you go run this application yarn dev, right, it is running on port 8000, right? And you can go here and HTTP request. If you just supposed to try to add the product, right? If you send a request, and you can see like it says like error, right? So somehow, yeah, this is products exactly. And now try to send this request, right? So it is sending some kind of error, right? It says like bad request. Why this bad request is coming, right? So because we are not sending proper formatted data or something like that. So let's try to fulfill this request. Let's say name, and what are the things we have added here? Let's not cover the source code here. While we are calling this create request, let's try to grab this request from here. Go to the HTTP request, add it here. The name will be something like this. Right, then we can say so let's try to call it. All right, so it says like syntax error. Yeah, this is syntax error, definitely. Right, so method not implemented. Can you see it is not returning any data, right? So why this is coming? Because we have added our test cases, but it is not getting returned from the repository. It is directly. So let's check it out, the flow, where exactly this problem is happening. So if you go to Express app here in the server, its server is spinning out here, right? And server is getting called this Express app. And if you go to Express app here, and Express app is hooking up with this router, right? The catalog router. So if you go to catalog router here, it is just calling this, it is instantiating this catalog service, and catalog service is hooked up with a kind of repository, right? What kind of repository? That's a kind of iCatalog repository. And our catalog repository is complying with the iCatalog repository as a kind of interface. So that's why we need to implement all these methods. So now potentially what is happening, while we are calling this product, right, to create it out, then it is try to call this whole workflow, just like, you know, this catalog service, the create product, and create product is calling that specific repository create method. And if you go to the create repository method, then potentially it will pointing out to this one, and that's why it is throwing from here, right? So what we are going to do in the next episode, we are going to work on especially in the clean architecture, but after that only we are going to implement the database stuff. Like this time I'm not gonna make you bored by implementing some kind of the native PostgreSQL and again some ORM. We are not going to do that. So what we are going to do, we are going to implement some kind of like, you know, ORM directly. So in our case we are going to implement Prisma, but so far at least our server has to work. All right, in that case, let's try to accommodate some kind of mock data from here. So let's try to return something from here. So how we can do that? That's a return. So it is precisely looking for a kind of product. That is, we need to resolve it here, right? So let's try to do that. So in this case, promise result, promise result, and here we need to create a product. Let's try to create product. Product will be product factory. You might have remember we have created this product factory in the pictures, right? Because just to create some kind of mock data from here. So let's try to utilize that one. Now let's use the build function to build the product and try to pass it here. So now this is cool, right? Now let's grab this piece of code from here. And again, here also we are going to use the same. And here also we are going to use the same. Anyway, we are going to use our ORM here. So let's try to pass it something like this. So at least we can have some kind of data from our repository at this moment. So in the Pine also, let's use this way, but this time this is going to be products. Let's try to build this, build list, right? And this is going to be product. So, okay, so we need to pass the number also. So in the Pine, we need to use the limit also. Let's go to here. Maybe we can grab this piece of code here and add it here, right? And now this build list is perfectly fine. So here we need to provide the number. This is going to be limit. And let's mark it as a kind of async because it's returning any kind of promise right here, right? Right, so here all these things going to be async. Here also. Right now we don't have to call that await here, but in future we need to call await because we are going to call our ORM from here, right? So let's mark it everyone as a kind of async function, right? Then find one also, just like grab this one and add it here, right? Perfect. So now you can see like our repository is accommodating with some kind of mock data. So if you go here, now let's try to run this whole application, and I'm going to restart the application. Right, and if you go to HTTP right now, yeah, HTTP request.http here, if you call this one, it has to return some kind of data, right? So you can see like it's returning some kind of data. It's never mind like whatever we have created, it has to be returned, but this is fine. At least we just try to check like whole pipeline is working or not. So it is responding from our catalog route. So if you're gonna close orders, this one. Let's try to close it from here. Yeah, catalog routes, it is calling this route, right? It's validating the request as well as, and it is going to the catalog service. Catalog service is creating product, and it is going to create a product in repository, and repository is giving some data from here, right? From here. Yeah. In the next episode, we are going to cover up like the clean architecture, where we will deep dive a little bit in the clean architecture, what is the beauty of the clean architecture, and what are the things exactly, what are the specific problem is getting solved by the clean architecture. In the end, I will show you how this solid principle is working and why exactly it is necessary while you are doing the code. Right, I hope you like this video tutorial, and if you really like this video tutorial, give me a thumbs up, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe it right now because there are a lot of useful tutorial I'm gonna put it through out of this channel. And yeah, then see you in another episode. Bye bye.